What'd you think?
I thought Nick looked a lot better than I thought he would be.
You know what? I will say this. First off, Robbie was in shape. God bless you, Robbie, for getting in shape, being motivated. I'm glad that Nick motivated you to put in the extra time because Robbie was more active than any time that I've seen him in the last 3-4 years.
Yep.
He was throwing. Now, I do believe he had the comfort factor of knowing Nick's not going to try to take me down. So that's a good thing, you know. Nick also had the comfort factor of Robbie's not going to try to take me down. So they're basically out there just throwing, shots at each other. But boy, they threw a lot of shots. The one thing I will say with Nick is, man, he can throw and be offensive. This is when we're talking in multiples, combinations. Look at how many 1, 2, 3s, 4, 5s, 6, 7s Nick was throwing that he was landing. Robbie was doing a good job of rolling and moving and defending well. And it was the 6th, 7th shot that would come in that would hit him solid because he didn't have all that movement to get past that because he didn't see it. And Nick has always done that. I did a fight of Nick's when he fought Scott Smith, and no one's going to remember. But I believe in one round, he landed 200 and some shots. Okay? That was one round, 1 5-minute round. He landed, not threw, landed like 200 freaking shots. That's the kind of output that Nick Diaz was famous for, and he was trying to bring it back. It's just he'd been gone too long, and you could definitely see Nick was never a real fast guy, but he slowed down even more. The shots were just a little bit slower. Just a little bit.
Look, they were a little bit slower, but like you said, he was never a fast guy.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, well, I don't want to take anything away from Robbie. Robbie looked absolutely phenomenal. He was in great shape.
Yep.
I was concerned when Robbie came out in the first round, started pushing the pace, letting the hands go right away. I was like, oh, what are you doing?
That's because you were used to the Robbie of the last 3-4 years that he's gotten tired.
Yeah. And
I did the fight with him against Donald Cerrone, and that was, let's say, 2017, I would say, somewhere in there. So we're talking 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And look, he took the second round off. He won the first round and he threw a lot of shots. He took it off. He didn't throw anything. So Donald won that round easily, and then, so it was all about, coming into the third round. And Robbie started doing that in a lot of his fights. And you could see he was prepared in this one. He was going to be able to go out on every round, 5 rounds, didn't matter. And he was going to put shots on Nick. And, Nick had to do something to fight it off. But the fact that Robbie was able to move Nick backwards just took more gas out of Nick, too.
Yeah, it did. It did. What I was texting with Robbie's manager, Dave Martin, early before the fight started, and then I texted him a little bit during the fight. But I was telling him, I said, look, Robbie's been one of my favorite fighters since the moment he got signed. I watched him fight at Calusa Casino up in the middle of Podunk, California, in the middle of nowhere. I watched him fight. Maybe it wasn't Calusa. It was probably another little shithole casino at the time. Anyways, and then we both fought on the same card in Shogun in Hawaii. And I was a huge fan of him then. He came out and he starched at that first casino fight. He starched, landed Showwater in like 19 seconds or some shit. Just nasty, just KO, quick, just arms went stiff. Absolutely amazing, like just knockout. I was a big fan of him ever since then. Then I saw him fight in Shogun. He had a great performance there as well. I've been a big fan. I was texting Dave. I'm like, dude, he's been one of my favorite fighters ever since I've met the kid. He was 19 years old at the time. And then, and I said, what was encouraging to me when I saw him at the weigh-ins, I was like, well, he looks small. The reason why he looks small is because he's fucking fit.
He's in shape.
He was in shape. I'm like, that's the Robbie Lawler that was the champion, that won the title, that carried the title for a while. And then you could just tell he started losing that, like, okay, this is getting kind of old.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And Nick motivated him again. And I think that's great. I think it's amazing. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from Nick either. 6 years away. 6 years away.
Fought his ass off.
Fought his fucking ass off.
That's right.
Look, this shit happens. Look, and I think also, I don't know if he'll be back, and I hope he is, because I want to see him fight again. But are we going to see, and now he's got himself in there, we're going to see a Nick that I think maybe has adjusted to, like, look, the fight week, the preparation, the camp, all that stuff. Those are all things that people, like, for 6 years you're away, now you jump back into it and just have a camp. Those are a lot of things that are hard to deal with. Now, look, I know for the last 2 weeks we've been talking about Nick Diaz, and I got a lot of shit that some of it was deserved, some of it wasn't. But I want everyone to understand that Nick Diaz and Nate, I truly, truly love watching them fight. I have fans of them. I enjoy everything that they do. I will never. I'm not saying bad thing. I'm not saying bad things about them at all. That I don't believe is not true. So if it's something that I say, don't take it as if like I'm trying to downplay them. They're fucking phenomenal. Everything about them is phenomenal. They're great athletes. They're great people. People don't see the side of them that are great people. They're great people.
Oh, hold on. Let's. I know people talked about the interview that Nick had with Brett Okamoto. I understand why people were concerned and everything. Although the one thing that I want you to know, Nick's being honest.
Yeah,
man, don't you like the fact that someone is actually being honest with you and looking at things and not sitting there and hyping something, just being honest with the way he looks at it. Being honest of, no, man, I don't like the fight. No, man, all these guys are fucking liars. All these guys are just saying, oh, man, it's great. I love it. You're fucking liars. You're afraid going in there because bad things can happen. He's being honest. I love that about him and stuff. And the fact that, he didn't want this fight with Robbie and he felt that it was wrong, they weren't going to give him Kamaru Usman.
No.
That's not even part of the conversation. But, I do like the fact that he doesn't sit there and play the hype game or anything like that. He just tells you the way he sees it. You might not agree. That's okay. But I loved everything that he was putting out.
When you look at him and his brother, you guys got to remember that whole deal that with Masvidal and Nate, when the whole USADA testing and all that shit, and the UFC came out and tried to like backdoor him and say, "Hey, if you just take the fight,
we'll
clear
the
it
fight.
up. We'll clear it up later." Bullshit. We don't work shit out later. We work it out now. And for all of those people that are judging Nick for his interview, sure, maybe you guys are not used to hearing fighters talk that way. Not even just fighters, athletes, period. Because every athlete sits behind their publicists and they're just being fed full of bullshit that they feed to you guys, and you guys just fucking slurp it up. Well, guess what? That's not true. These guys, all athletes, NFL, NBA, baseball, all of them, they all want to tell you the truth, but they can't because their publicist tells them, no, you'll get burned, you'll lose money, you'll lose sponsors. Guess what? Nick don't give a shit. Nate don't give a shit. And that's what makes them so authentic and so real and so fucking fun to watch fight, because that's who they are. And when I sit here and I tell you guys, like, hey, I was concerned for him going into the fight. And then when that 185 thing was announced, and I was more concerned, I was like, okay, he didn't look the way he looked 2.5 months ago when he was doing a triathlon. And like, it started bothering me. I'm like, look, I want to see him fight. I want to see him fight well. He is great for the sport, not just him and his brother both. That scrap pack, Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez, all the guys that come out of there, they've all been great for the sport. You can't deny that. And so I grew up in this area in the Bay Area and where their legacy and their legends and all that shit fucking carries on. I was at Smoke Eaters tonight. Everyone was there to watch him.
Yeah.
As soon as he lost, 3/4 of the crowd left. They didn't give a shit about Ortega and Volk. They didn't care about Shevchenko. They didn't give a shit. They fucking bounced out. I mean, that lets you know that his legend, his legacy still lives on around the Bay Area, at least in the Bay Area. I know it lives on everywhere else. You know what I mean? So, no, I have nothing bad to say about them. I love watching them both fight, especially
I want you to think about this, okay? UFC, all right? You're the promotion. You're the one that decides. So, Robbie Lawler, an ex-champion, walked out first.
Yeah.
To a guy that hasn't been there for 6 years and was never a champion for you. What does that say?
These $60 Japanese smart patches are taking the world by storm. Just apply them before bed.
Yeah. They know how their bread is buttered.
They knew where the butts, they knew who was putting butts in the seats. Let's just be honest.
And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the bottom line is I have a lot of respect for Nick. I have a lot of respect for his brother Nate. I have a ton of respect for Robbie Lawler.
Yep.
The fact is, both of them came out ready to fight.
Fought their asses off.
They fought their asses off.
Loved it.
Look, I've seen little guys not put out that much output in that amount of time. They fought their asses off, and when we had a question, I think, on our way in interjection. So if you guys haven't caught that show, will this bring back the legend type fights for the UFC? Because the UFC is like, a bunch of old people. We're not putting that fight on. I'm sorry, but I want to see fights like this some more, because guys like Nate, or not Nate,
fight
Nate,
like
but Nick,
that.
they fight like that. And when you get two older guys who have been around the game for a long time, and they get to fight another older guy, the motivation trickles up in their ass, like we saw with Robbie Lawler tonight, and sort of tightening up his sphincter. He started fucking get ready to fight. He was ready to go. He stepped on the scale. He looked lean. He came into the fight. He had the bounce in his step. He looked like the young Robbie Lawler that I remember when he got signed by the UFC back in like 2001, 2002. That's the type. Those are the type of fights that I'm really encouraged to see, and I was actually very happy with both of them.
Yeah, I thought it was action packed. They both brought it for as much as they could. There's going to be people that say, why did Nick, why did he quit? He was tired. He got hurt, man, and it was done, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. This is the one thing that always separated boxing and MMA. An MMA fighter was able to say, done, tap, whatever it is, and it was never a bad thing. And then it started to become, we don't tap to strikes. Bullshit. You know what? You get hurt. You know what? You can't. You say it's just not there for me. I have no problem with what he did. I thought he gave everything that he had, put on a great performance, fought against a tough dude, and after 6 years, man, to come back and fight the way he did, awesome.